long? It's your boy Town Biz back in the building, back up in this piece. All right, so gonna talk a little boxing. I'm gonna keep this. I'm gonna try to keep this as short as possible. Try to keep this between um, 10 to 20 minutes. So I'm gonna discuss some boxing, discuss last night's events with um, Noravate versus Wilson, and talk about this is one of the mishaps of boxing that you hate to see, but you got to talk about it. And then also I'm gonna talk about Eddie Hearn's remarks pertaining to Spence versus Crawford, and once again take the time out to expose these cornball hypocrites and why they shouldn't be mad at Eddie Hearn. They'll try to act like you care when you were the main culprits. You basically gave Eddie Hearn the ammo to say the stuff that he said pertaining to Crawford versus Spence. But, I'll get to that later. Plus, talk a little bit about David Benavidez and Caleb Plant. Talk about tonight's matchup in New York City at the Hulu Theater. Amanda Serrano's returns and Alicia Bumgardner. So they return tonight. They'll be fighting in New York at the Hulu Theater in Madison Square Garden. So anyway, let's begin. So I didn't watch the fight live because at the end of the day, that wasn't what you would call a must-see. That wasn't on my radar like that, because at the end of the day, I just got to keep it a buck. Most of us never really heard of that dude that Noravate fought. But now I see why he pretty much didn't want to smoke with Shakur Stevenson. And also I am going to talk about Tank versus Ryan Garcia. Like, when are we going to get an official formal announcement? Because April will be here before you know it. We head into the second week of February. So I'll talk about that as well. But I got a chance to check out that fight. And I saw the fight in its entirety. And, at the end of the day, Noravate was able to get the W via stoppage. But however, what happened in the fourth round should have more than likely basically became a knockout win in favor of, Liam Wilson, because he was on the verge of stopping. And if he would have had the proper time, then he probably would have got a stoppage. Noravate was really hurting that fight, and the referee gave him more than enough extra time to recover. And see, this is why people get suspicious of boxing. This is why people are suspicious of sports as a whole, because you get these type of things. He was given so much time to recover. Standing 8 count, take 3 steps, walk here, and all this stuff. Now, I'm going to tell you something. They don't have to do that. Referees do not have to teach. So when I see referees ask a fighter to take 3 steps and come forward and take 3 steps, come back, they kind of buying them some time, because technically once they get up, they say, hold your gloves up, and they ask you, can you fight? Can you go? If you say yes or no, then they can say, okay, continue with the fight. When I see referees do that, take 3 steps and walk, okay, because at the end of the day, and don't come on here and say, well, the referee is looking out for the fighter. Well, the referee has the option to call a halt to the fight, even if the fighter makes the 10 count. It's still a judgment call. So why do all the extras? Because to me, it comes across if you trying to, help the dude recover. At the end of the day, they know what they signed up for. And like I said, when he got dropped, he was hurt bad. And then he was about to get dropped the second time. Once he made that stand in 8 count. Once he made that stand in 8 count, and the referee should have said, hold your gloves up. Can you go? Yes, no. And then he should have let him continue. All this, take 3 steps, hold your mouthpieces out. I'm like, man, he gave this dude hella time. I was just like, man, you got to be kidding me. I mean, and this is what bothers people because it make it look like that they are trying to, show favoritism towards. I ain't gonna say Norvate was the hometown favorite because he isn't from where they was fighting at, but he was the headliner, and he was the headliner of the fight. So it was like they provided a service for him and basically trying to protect him. But at the end of the day, he should have lost that fight via stoppage because, I just felt like Liam Smith was robbed of the opportunity to get the stoppage. And then he ended up getting stopped. And I was like, okay, this is what bothers me about fighting. This is what bothers me about the boxing game. You just be like, okay, man, like, dang, it's just always something. It's just always something. And when you watch that kind of stuff, you get frustrated because you like, geez, you blatantly see what was done. And I felt like they blatantly allowed him to get more than enough recovery time, to get back in the fight, you know. So that's just one of the problems that I have sometimes when I watch these live fights. That's just, and watch them live or just watch the fight like tape delayed or whatever you want to call it, or when somebody posted via online. When you watch that stuff, you just, oh man. But it wasn't a high profile fight. It wasn't a high caliber fight. It wasn't nothing that I had to see live, but I got a chance to watch it. But and that's what I saw in the fight. And I was just like, okay, wow. All right, so the next subject. All right, so we're headed into the second week of February. And we headed into the second week of February, and I'm having my concerns. I'm having my concerns about Tank and Ryan Garcia because this fight is supposed to take place April the 15th. Okay, April the 15th. And there hasn't been a formal announcement or a press conference or none of that kind of stuff. Now, keep in mind, they supposed to have a lot riding on this fight for this fight to be a success. They want this fight to do 1 million pay-per-views, which I don't think it's going to accomplish that. But a lot's supposed to be riding on this fight. A lot is supposed to be riding on this fight, but yet we still don't have official contract signed, sealed, delivered. Ryan Garcia and them has a contract. They said it themselves. They tweeted about it, put pictures out about it. But what is supposed to be worked out? Like, what's going on? Now you hearing they may have a possible location, Allegiant Stadium. You hearing T-Mobile Arena, and then you hearing MGM Grand. But at the end of the day, why even worry about that? Why even worry about that stuff when they still don't have an official announcement? So I'm gonna start to get worried. If I'm gonna start to get worried, man, if I don't hear about this fight being official by the end of next week, and we should be concerned because, okay, yeah. And I will have my concerns. I'm gonna be like, okay, is this fight gonna happen? Because keep in mind, going into a fight, you gotta have that. You want to have an eight week camp. Now, David Benavidez and Caleb Plant, which is gonna take place March the 25th. They were already in camp. But this ain't a high caliber fight. This is a good fight, but this ain't what Tank and Ryan Garcia is supposed to be. So you would think that they would like to put a decent marketing machine around this fight to, get people curious about this fight and get people wanting to see this fight. But yet Still no announcement, and you wonder like, okay, when is the announcement coming? I have my concerns now. I am worried that this fight is not going to happen. And then here we go again. The fans lose out. We've been sold wolf tickets by, you know, Tank, Ryan Garcia, Golden Boy, Al Heyman, the PBC. And then boxing takes another black eye and is further getting, you know, buried and dug into a ditch and getting, but basically it's already, the coffin is in the ground, but it's just, you know what I'm saying? You just wait for people to pour dirt on it, start, you know, pouring dirt. And I don't want it to get to that, but it looked like it's headed in that direction, because at the end of the day, we need to get some fights made. We already didn't get the fight that we wanted to see last year. But at the end of the day, we already know why that fight didn't happen. So, yeah, I have my concerns about what's going on with Tank and Ryan Garcia. When is there going to be an official formal announcement? When is there going to be a press conference announcing this fight? So, like I said, they didn't got people amped up and ready to see this fight. And just for boxing to have another letdown, you know, just wouldn't be a good look. So I'm hoping that we get an announcement by the end of the week. Definitely. So, you know, we'll see. All right, so another quick side note. So it appears that Edgar Berlanga, former top-ranked fighter, basically it appears that he seems to, you know, be a sought-after man. It appears that he has received offers from Golden Boy, Matchroom, and the PBC. So, at the end of the day, I'm not sold on Edgar Berlanga. I watched him, and even though he was getting a lot of first round knockouts, I was just looking at the level of competition, and then based off how he handled his last fight in the ring, based off how he, you know, kind of was like self-destructing a little bit to where he ended up biting the opponent and stuff, you just was like, okay, so this just says a lot about him. This makes you question his heart as a fighter and where his head is. But who do I think he's gonna choose? He probably choose. I wouldn't be surprised if he chooses the PBC, because they'll just throw him in there with David Morrell, and then we'll see how that fight turns out. They may line him up with a couple of, you know, easy pickings, slim pickings, and then put him in there with Morrell and see how that fares. And then they'll take it from there. That would be considered a decent fight. But Berlanga, whatever his name is, he's still unproven, even though he's undefeated. He's not you know what I'm saying? He doesn't have an impressive 18-0 record. That's just real talk. I'm just keeping it a buck. Doesn't have an impressive 18-0 record. So, you know, that's just real talk. All right. So, what is next? Okay. So, speaking of Eddie Hearn, well, I think Morrell will destroy him. I really do. I'm just keeping it a buck. I think Morrell will destroy him. So I think he'd destroy him. I think he would beat him down. I could be wrong, but I don't think I'm wrong. So, you know, but all right. So let me move on. Let me get to this last subject. I'll come back later on. I'm getting a little, you know what I'm saying, a little sleepy and shit. So, all right. So, Eddie Hearn came out and said that Arthur Beterbiev versus Dimitri Bivol is a bigger fight than Spence versus Crawford. Well, it seems like none of those fights are going to be made because Eddie Hearn is talking about all kind of different people for Bivol, talking about a Canelo rematch and then somebody else after that. Okay, so when are we going to get the Arthur Beterbiev fight for Undisputed? You know, that's the fight that everybody wants to see. That's the fight that everybody wants. You know, so that's the fight that people want to see. But the question is, can we get it? Will we get it? How long we will have to wait till we get it? And I don't want to go into 2024 hoping that Arthur Beterbiev and Dimitri Bivol lock horns, because Arthur Beterbiev will be 39, and that'll just prove what I've been thinking, that they was trying to age the dude out. You know, which for people to sit up here with their goofy tails and say that how could you not, you know, how could you age somebody out? Well, basically not make a fight and let them fight somebody else as a measuring stick to see how they look based off their age, if they're a crafty veteran, and see if they slowed down, you know. So that's how you age somebody out, and try to pretend that it doesn't exist. That says a lot about you, and that just shows you you're in denial. Now, as far as his comments about Spence versus Crawford, well, how can you sit up there and make any videos, which nobody ain't making no videos, really, when you were the ones that were perpetuating this stuff about Terrence Crawford, devaluing him, saying that the dude wasn't worth this, wasn't worth that, constantly pocket watching him, constantly telling this man how much y'all think he should get. Well, Eddie Hearn was probably hearing that. Eddie Hearn, nobody ever accused Eddie Hearn of not being a smart person, so Eddie Hearn started to push the narrative now. So this is what you get when you listen to the fake pro-black brigade. So they has played a pivotal role in what's going down, devaluing this fight. So it's sad. But, you know, it's sad, but this is how these people are. Like I said, that's what happens when you listen to a lot of these other cornballs, you know. That's what happens when you listen to bald-headed dudes. You know what I'm saying? You know, the fake leased attorneys and all that type of stuff, who every other video is about Terrence Crawford, but they swear Terrence Crawford has no fan base. Nobody is checking for him and stuff, but yet Terrence Crawford is selling out arenas. So if Eddie Hearn is starting now to take that, take that stance, well, somebody had to be putting that earbud in his ear. Somebody been putting them earplugs in his ear. So do not think for a second these dudes don't watch our videos. I don't know how many times I got to tell you that don't think for a second these dudes don't watch our channels. I know for a fact a lot of the big guns watch my channels. And I'm talking about the big guns. But yeah. But at the end of the day, these people swear to God Terrence Crawford ain't this, he ain't that. But if you look around the boxing circuit, what's going on YouTube, somebody always making a video talking about Terrence Crawford. For a dude that's so unpopular, people can't keep that man's name out their mouth. Real talk. But anyway, appreciate you guys listening. Tune in to the next one. I'm out.